What's going on, guys? Elijah Baumgartner here. I'm hoping to share some information with you guys today. I'm just set up in the backyard. It's been raining off and on, so I'm trying to get a nice little break in the weather, or hoping for a nice little break in the weather to be able to shoot this video for you guys and give you some information that possibly may help you out. So, first things first, November 3rd through the 6th, 2023, I took my Pathfinder School Basic Survival class. I passed that class and patched out. I'll show you that certificate there. And also the Basic Survival class patch on the Wazoo cachet cap with the Pathfinder School Worldwide patch as well there on the front. I'm showing you that because there are a lot of people out there that would lie about having that. I've met them that are out there, believe it or not. So if you get it, congratulations. That's quite an accomplishment. Now, although I am in the Pathfinder School instructor program, at this point in time, I'm not in any way professionally or otherwise associated with the Pathfinder School other than being a student. So take the information that I'm sharing with you right now with a grain of salt. As the Pathfinder School evolves and changes over time, they may change their packing list. They may change the items that they require you to bring for each individual class, and they may change the way that they teach the course, okay? But even though those things may change throughout the longevity of time, I do believe that a lot of the things I'm going to speak about and talk about in this video will still reign true and be able to transition to other classes and things over time. So, with that being said, I'd also like to say that none of the things that I'm going to share with you, to the best of my knowledge, none of the things I'm going to share with you in this video have anything to do with the training at the Pathfinder School. It doesn't give away any secrets, anything like that. So, and as far as I know, the ideas that I'm going to speak about are all originally my ideas. So I don't feel like I'm impeding on any of their Pathfinder system training on the things I'm speaking about in this video, and that's why I feel comfortable with sharing these things with you, okay? There is the road right there, because I'm just right here in the backyard, so maybe a little vehicle traffic, but bear with me here through any audio issues. Now, I think that I'm going to share with you everything that I did, okay? The way that I packed my gear. I took 5 bags, okay? The first bag is going to be your first night camp gear, okay? Second bag is going to be extras, okay? This bag will remain in your vehicle, or remained in my vehicle, the entire time, okay? Next bag, number 3, is going to be your kit from the packing list. Whatever bag you may have, this is the Pathfinder Scout bag. Bag number 4 is going to be your Haversack, okay? And bag number 5 is going to be extra clothing, okay? So, let's get straight into it, okay? First day. On your first day, or first night rather, you are allowed to sleep in a hammock or a tent setup, okay? On the second night, you have to sleep in your survival shelter, okay? So, if you're trying to figure out how to pack your tent and everything from your packing list and all this other stuff, all your food, trying to figure out how to pack it all into your Pathfinder Scout bag or a similar sized bag, stop, okay? all that stuff needs to be sort of separated and compartmentalized, okay? Your first night shelter system should be in its own individual system, okay? Its own individual carrier. This happens to be the black compression sack from the military MSS sleep system. I'm a hammock guy, so that's what I brought, okay? If you're a tent guy or a cot guy or a tent cot guy or whatever system you use, you need to put this system together for that, okay? If you're a tent guy, bring your sleep pad, your sleeping bag, your tent, your your ground cloth or whatever. Put this system together, one night of shelter in its own individual duffel bag, backpack, or any type of carrying system, okay? So for me, being a hammock guy, I've got the MSS sleep system compression sack just because it was a bag that was large enough to stuff everything in. I had multiple places to grab a hold of it and carry it if I needed to. This system included my tarp up top, along with my tent stakes, guy line or ridge line, and also my hammock straps, okay? The Eno jungle nest. This is a My Pillow with a custom pillowcase on it. Mushrooms on one side and sort of a crazy little pattern on the other. I had that pillowcase custom made, so it's nothing you can find off of Amazon or anything like that. And the only other two things in this bag, I went during November, during winter months, okay? So obviously things will change depending whether you're going summer or winter, okay? Fall, spring. Check the weather before you go, obviously. The only other two things in this bag is my Eno Ember underquilt and my down sleeping bag, which I think was made by I can't remember who makes it, but anyways, I'm blanking. It was it's got the same name as from that Pixar or Disney cartoon, Nemo, that's what it was. That's what it was, Nemo. So the Nemo down sleeping bag. So those are the items that I took, because I'm a hammock guy. Those are the items that I took in my first night shelter system, okay? The only other thing that I would suggest possibly adding to this bag is think about your food system, okay? If you are bringing MREs, okay, and I don't know what the rule is currently or what it will be as it changes, but if they allow stoves to the basic class, then if you're carrying water with you back to your camp, then you could make your mountain house meal there at your camp. If they don't allow stoves, then there is a communal fire pit that you should have access to heat water, okay? So if it's mountain house meals for your first night, keep that with your class gear packing list, so that as you're in that classroom area, you're allowed a break, or you finish out for that evening, you can heat up your water there next to the communal fire pit, and then make that meal and either eat it there or take it back to your campsite and eat, okay? If you were bringing MREs, then you have the chemical heater along with that meal. And in that case, you possibly could put your dinner in your first night camp set. That way, in your first night shelter system, that way you take away the weight from that dinner from your class packing list, and then you're able to just have your dinner there with your first night shelter system when you get there, okay? So all this should be able to pack in easy, okay? Cinch that up. And then after that first night's over with, it's going away, okay? You don't need to worry about that any longer, all right? Second thing, clothing, okay? The clothing that I chose to bring, obviously, I think the temperature, it was mid to high 30s at night, and it was, I think it was high 60s, mid 70s during the daytime. It was clear skies and no rain. The weather was absolutely perfect. Couldn't have asked for any better weather, okay? Now, leading up to that, during the daytime, I wore these, and I'm not sure exactly what name brand these are, but they're just, they're like an ankle sort of mid-rise merino wool sock, okay? I wore that during the daytime because I don't need as much insulation on my feet as I'm moving around, okay? I also wore the boots that I chose to bring were these Merrill work boots. They're composite toe boot, and they worked out very, very well. I like the composite toe because from my industrial construction background, I don't like heavy things falling on my feet, even in a camp setting, whether it be, you know, logs or whatever. I'm used to wearing steel toe boots all day and composite toe boots. So I'm used to lifting that weight on my foot all day. So I'd rather have the safety aspect of it than I would having the lightweight version of it, okay? Also, think about everything that you might need, okay, to make yourself comfortable. I took out the factory insoles. I put in a Georgia Amp insole, as well as a Dr. Scholl's arch support insole, okay? And I wore these boots for a couple weeks leading up to the class. Did a lot of my training and stuff in them, so they worked out to be fantastic boots, and I like them a lot. I'm used to wearing slip-on boots, but with the laces and everything, I had a great time. When I tied them up, I made sure to tuck the loops and the laces back behind the tongue of the boot. That way I didn't have laces getting caught on things, and then, because, you know, if you're moving as a class, as a group, and your lace gets hung up on something, it gets untied. Now you've got to stop, get off the trail, and tie your shoe. Now you know, everybody else is moving, you know. So if you wear laces, tie them up, tuck those laces behind the tongue of your shoe. That way you don't have to worry about them getting untied as you're traveling. Next thing, I wore a base layer up against my skin, this Polar Tech. I think I found this stuff at like a U.S. military surplus store, but it's just Polar Tech. Maybe I got it off Amazon, I can't remember. I've had it for a long time, but I wore this Polar Tech base layer, and then on top of that, I wore a merino wool thermals. And by the end of the first day, I realized that was just way too much for that weather, okay? So at the end of the day, I took the merino wool base layer off, and I just kept this on. On top of that base layer, I wore this Perseverance Survival Woobie hoodie, okay? It worked out very well. If you don't know about that particular area, they have a ton of thorns and briars and all kinds of different sharp, prickly things that will tear your stuff up, okay? This actually held up very, very well. I was surprised. I didn't care about tearing it up or anything like that. That wasn't a concern of mine, but it did work out very well. If I tore it up, it was fine, whatever, you know, it's like 70 bucks or something, 75 bucks. But it held up pretty well. It got snagged on a few briars, but it you know, it's kind of almost like a ripstop sort of weave to it, so it held up pretty well. The pants that I wore were the Ranger Riggers, or yeah, Ranger Rigs or something like that, Wrangler Rigs pants. Sort of a heavier duty canvas type material. Worked out very good for the thick foliage and brush that they have up there. The next thing on top of the Perseverance Survival Whoopee hoodie that I took, I wore this sort of Sherpa lined Carhartt vest. The thing I like about wearing vests, if I'm actually out doing something, and I've owned this vest for a long time, you know, you see in a lot of some of Dave's pictures and videos, he's wearing probably the same brand, honestly, Perseverance Survival Whoopee hoodie. And I think he's got, you know, they got it in a couple of different colors, but he wears it and a vest a lot of the time. But the great thing about vests, and I've known this for a long time with my industrial construction background, is wearing a vest on top of an outer layer, or as your outer layer. It keeps a lot of your warmth to the core of your body, but it doesn't add an extra layer on your shoulders and arms. So you're still able to give yourself the mobility and range of motion that you would wearing a second or third layer, whatever it adds up to be, but you still have that mobility. So that's why I like vests, and probably the same reason he does too, because if you're striking ferro rods or trying to saw limbs or something like that, having a third or fourth layer jacket, you know, on you, it just stiffens you up like the Michelin Man. So that's why I like, I've always enjoyed vests a lot more than having a jacket as an outer layer. If I did it over again, I would probably wear a second thermal layer, keep that second thermal layer on, and in the temperature range that I was in, and I would wear something like this. I think this is made by Redhead, but it's just a sort of a thick canvas weave sort of outer shirt, button up thing. Something that has a tighter weave that would be more abrasive against those thorns and briars that they have up there, because it is very thick foliage, okay? You're not on the Appalachian Trail up there, okay? So keep that in mind. Thick, robust clothing is definitely ideal, okay? No ultralight stuff, no thin nylon, no crap like that, okay? So check the weather, you know, 14 days leading up to your class date, and decide about what you think might be the best thing, okay? In conjunction with that, take an assortment of clothing, of extra items that may be, instead of thermals, have, you know, some regular underwear in there in case it's warmer than you thought it was going to be. Take heavier thermals just in case it's colder than you thought it was going to be once you get up there. Take some extra thicker socks, some thinner socks. Take, you know, a beanie, okay? Or whatever you decide to bring. Have some extra options in the vehicle waiting for you in case you need to, and you have a break of some kind, or you can get back to your vehicle during that first night or whenever, and you're able to make that decision on whether you want to switch out some clothing items. Okay, if you just bought something on from Cabela's on the way up there and you realize, you know, hey, this jacket's not as warm as I thought it was going to be, I better throw on another layer or something. Okay, this is your basic class. I would say this is probably the best time to make your mistakes. Okay, obviously you should be training and using this equipment and gear and clothing leading up to your class and have a good understanding of what it can do for you and what its pros and cons are. But if not, then, you know, take some extra things with you. Would be my best suggestion for you. Okay, now the next thing that I want to cover is going to be the Haversack. Okay, the Haversack is on the packing list for a reason. Okay, let me switch around here. Oh goodness, feels a lot better. If any of you guys own the Self-Reliance Outfitters or Pathfinder branded Haversack, this is a rip. You know how thick and robust this material is. I've got a rip in here from some briars. So if that gives you any type of idea on how thick and tough the foliage is up there, that's it. Okay, the Haversack is on the packing list for a reason. Okay, you guys need to understand that you are not in Kansas anymore. Okay, you are not sitting around the bonfire with your buddies having a beer. Okay, you're not sitting in a classroom looking at PowerPoints on survival and look, this is a PowerPoint picture on how to build a you know, a primitive shelter or whatever. You know, this is not some rudimentary survival class. Okay, this is some of the best training in the world. Okay, so you guys are out in the field and moving the entire time. Okay, whatever the weather is or whatever. Okay, if you don't want to have to drop your main kit bag every time you need something, it might behoove you to have certain items that you would use on a more frequent basis at your fingertips. Okay, so that's what I chose to do with my Haversack. Anytime I was getting ready to head out from the classroom, the Haversack goes on first. Okay, it would always ride about right here, and then my backpack would go on over top of that. That way, as I'm traveling, I can get to my water, which I sanded and spray painted my cap orange. That way I could find it a little bit more easy. That's the way I've done it for quite a while now. Get to snacks or things like that because you're going to be eating on the move as you go. My Mora Garberg and my Baco Laplander, I had a leather holster made for it, so those were obviously on my belt the entire time. Having a shemagh handy is also a good idea. I chose to have I brought an orange one and also a dark olive drab green one. I chose to have the orange one handy just because of, you know, being a more high vis item, and I can dry my hands and things like that. Next thing was in my notepad. Okay, I don't really have an example sitting right here by me, but don't show up with, like, guys, this is a basic survival class. Okay, try to use your best thought process and realize that if you are a bushcraft guy or whatever type of guy or girl or whatever, this is the place to be as lightweight as possible, okay? You're gonna be carrying other things, okay? So do yourself a favor and bring the items that are on the packing list and no more, okay? If you're a bushcraft guy, you don't need to show up with a leather holster for a journal size notebook hanging off of your belt and stuff, okay? I mean, if that's what you want to do, go for it, bro. Go for it. But a small notebook like this is plenty for this class, okay? I did my absolute best to take notes on everything that was spoken about, put on a chalkboard or whatever, and you know, I didn't fill up half of this thing, okay? I'll probably just get another one, and then once I'm finished, combine all the notes. But a small notebook like this, small Rite in the Rain notebook like this, is absolute plenty enough, okay? Next thing was a watch, okay? That's gonna be on my person. Ferro rod. An ink pen for taking notes. I kept one ink pen here in my Haversack. I also kept my Fresnel lens in here. I also kept my compass as well. I kept one of my big lighters in here, and also my paste beads and my SAK, okay? And that is all of the contents from the Haversack. Okay, the other bag that I brought was this blue bag. Be whatever bag you got, okay? This was just my sort of extras bag, okay? If something happened, then I would have at least know that I had some type of extra item in my vehicle, okay? When I first got there and did my gear dump, my Fresnel lens was in a page of my notebook. Somehow it weaseled its way in there. So they asked for notebook, threw the notebook down. Item or two later, they asked for Fresnel lens. I'm frantically looking for my Fresnel lens. Could not find it, okay? Couldn't find it. I knew I'd already went through my gear 8 or 10 times, checked off the list, okay? I knew I had everything in there, but I couldn't find it. But I did know that when I ordered my Fresnel lens, it came in a pack of, 5 or 6 or whatever, okay, in a bag like this, a 4-pack. So instead of just bringing that one, I put the one in my Pathfinder Scout bag, but those 3 extras I threw in this bag here, so I knew if something happened, I had extras. Okay, you've already bought it, it came with extras. Bring the extra stuff. Keep it separate, keep it in your truck, but that way if something happens, you know you've got it, okay? Whether they will allow you to go back and get it or not, whatever, who knows? I don't know what I didn't have to do that, okay? I did have, right there when we were dumping our gear, I did have to run back to the truck and get this extra Fresnel lens. And then as I was putting my gear up, it fell out, and I realized that I knew I had it, but I didn't know where it was at. So I realized that, and I was able to put the second one that I grabbed back in the truck, okay? So other things that I had in here was number 36 bank line. Me personally, I like the braided bank line, okay? Advantages, disadvantages, on whether you use the braided or the twisted. I like the braided. Now, it didn't specify braided or twisted on the packing list. It just said number 36 bank line, 100 foot. So I brought twisted, which is what they sell on the Pathfinder website, but that was my extra. I brought the braided, and in case I, for some reason, had to have the twisted, I knew it was in the truck and I could get a hold of it, okay?